Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
Now, since the last time these two were on, we had a leadership challenge, and there was a lot of hope in the air that people will wake up the day after the delegates conference and find Curtis Dickinson in charge of Bermuda and Bermuda's finances and Bermuda's multi-billion-dollar deficit. Now, this guy and I go back a long way. We did Night Talk. What's it coming up on?
8, 9, 10, 12
Long
years,
time.
a long time ago.
Right? But I had quite a few people rolling up on me before the delegates conference saying, what do you think is going to happen? And everyone I told that the PLP delegates drink a different Kool-Aid, and don't be surprised if David Byrd is still in power the day after the conference, looked at me like they were bewildered. So since the last time we talked, it wasn't official. Now it's official. Curtis is over. David Byrd is now premier for the last term of his whatever stint.
Which I knew was going to happen.
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen. What happened to the rest of the public?
We had discussions and we talked about it. What surprised me, no, it shouldn't even surprise me. What I take from it was that people don't really understand the process. You know, people stand on the outside, hope, wish, think, and like things to go a certain way.
Yeah, because when you check the coverage, people were saying, well, why is it that the delegates get to pick? It's the same under the Westminster system for every party, for OBA, UVP, every delegate.
The UK has had 3 in a quick succession. And
so what
the
happened
people in the country had no say in who leads. They vote.
Never did.
Whichever party
Not under a Westminster system.
No,
so what part did Bermudians not get?
They just don't understand. And as I've told you for years, we're still embryonic in our political development. It took us 300 and odd years, almost 400 years, before we even changed the government, 30 years of party politics to
under the
UBP to change. And then we've,
14 years they tolerated
the PLP.
Then the OBA came.
Then the OBA came in for 1 term.
Now we're back in a second term.
And
what's changed?
Very little. Very little. Both Thurin speeches. The Thurin speech.
Okay, let me stop you there, because since then, like you said, we've had the reconvening of Parliament. I've covered Parliament coming up on 40 years. This has got to be the most lightest, weakest, shallowest, fictitious Thurin speech ever. Excuse my criticism.
I thought.
And then there's a thing in the paper today. Is what? Thursday. The title on the Gazette today is that the Premier may have sidelined the contents of the Thurin speech because he was more preoccupied with keeping his job. I think it's pretty evident, don't you think? That Thurin speech was light.
That Thurin speech
contained
8 or 9 pages.
So what was that?
He gave us what people will accept.
Which is what?
And I don't think many people are really concerned. Many people are just busy living day to day. And I think that's in time we will see where people will become less interested in politics. More and more people I speak to are saying they're not going to vote. I don't know if they're just saying it, but more and more people, and all age groups, races, and ages, people are saying, doesn't make any difference. I'm not going to vote.
When I talk to people in David Byrd and his yuppie cabinet age group, most people in his age group either can't stand him, don't want nothing to do with him, or could care less what the party does.
That goes hand in hand with leadership.
So you say that to say what?
Leaders are not liked generally.
Okay.
Leaders are criticized, because really as a leader, you will always not make everyone happy.
But you know about inner workings, inner sanctums of the PLP. When Mr. Dickinson said he was going to challenge David Byrd, the PLP stalwarts, I heard things like, well, Curtis is not ready, and Curtis represents Wall Street, and Curtis don't represent us, and Curtis can't handle the rowdy people from Roundy Way and rowdy. But I don't see David Byrd hanging in those circles either.
Well, I don't see. Well, the PLP is a reflection of us as black people, and generally, we're not too open to change. Change rattles us. If you talk change, people don't like change. And if you look at the history of the PLP, change has not normally come easy through the process, through the laid out process.
If you look at the history of the PLP, very strong on we don't air our dirty laundry.
Yeah, all of that.
And anybody who airs it is a traitor.
And that would work.
That's why they go around Central Committee and say you need to shut down BermudaReal.com. But you don't say shut down Dexter Smith and his pile of your Egypts.
It's easy to have that attitude in opposition. You know, we keep everything.
No, I get it, but
so now time will show eventually where some people will get so upset, like ticked off about the process within the party, that some will just talk freely because they know if they can't make change within, they'll make change any way they can if they want change badly enough.
When you talk about those people making change, the shakers and movers, Bermudians tend to think if they call Shirley Deal on Sunday, they did something.
But worse than that, we think now if we make a post on Facebook, we've accomplished something. And I believe, I mean, Facebook's it's worldwide now. It's a phenomenon where people can go on Facebook and vent, or go on some platform and vent. That does nothing. Absolutely nothing comes from that except you let it off your chest, but it actually doesn't change anything.
So what are we, extra backward? Listen. It's where the people lead that the leaders follow. For years I've heard Bermuda say, but they don't do this, and I hope the government's listening this and this and this. But if you don't make them accountable, the accountability rests with you.
With the people, of course.
So if you sit back and you just call me, and I just call Lamerne, and Lamerne calls whoever, and all together we had this big rah-rah, that's not change.
And eventually people will begin to realize that. Because in the scheme of things, eventually, we saw another party try to or start to form, the FDM, at the last election. Over time, probably way down the road, the PLP, the BDA may no longer, OBA may no longer even exist.
But I would think if I was FDM and if it was a last ditch and it wasn't serious, now would be the time for you to be present.
Well,
we have an opposition, 6 members.
If you can call it an opposition.
No, Cool. I don't know Cool like that. I know he married one of our former schoolmates, and you know we're good like that. But I'm not following Cool nowhere. Nothing personal. He's a nice guy. Rides horses. Okay.
Well,
he's not making an impact as an opposition.
Let's talk about the throne speech. Some will argue was light and wasn't inspiring, and I would say equally, the reply to the throne speech
was just as uninspiring.
And in the meantime, both people at the top, those at the top directing, leading, and trying to put us in a better place, or claiming to put us in a better place, saying the same things. It's almost like when I read some of these throne speeches, or I read the throne speech, I said, I think we said this before. Well, I want to go back and even compare, but it's like we're talking.
That piece on financial assistance reform. Did you read that? I actually looked. I just scanned it. I was sick when it came out. What did it say? They're gonna do what? Because whatever they said, they promised that way back in the day when Sandy Silver was in charge. At a time when we were spending $1 million a week, $4 million a month. I asked about 3 months ago how have the numbers changed pre-COVID as post-COVID. Nothing's really changed. The number of people who have unemployed are still unemployed. And on and on and on. So, if you promised me in a throne speech way back when that you're going to reform financial assistance, and here we are, X years later, nothing's happened. Why am I even listening to you?
And eventually, as I said, people will stop listening. People will stop getting involved. People will look for an alternative to vote for.
Just stop voting.
Or just stop voting. But that's the process. We're just beginning. Some countries to our south have been independent 40 years, going into 40 years they've been independent, running their own thing. The PLP in the throne speech had a brief mention about independence and the possibility, and another paper from somewhere informing us about it. And the opposition jumped on it right away to say, well, hey, wait a minute. You can't talk about that now. People are struggling. But you're going to struggle either way. So, again, we're stuck. We're not changing. It's taking us a long time. And I think a big part of it is many people aren't really interested. Those that can are saying, I'm going to jump up, I'm going to leave. I'm going to the UK, I'm going wherever. It's a great thing. I think I said this in the last show. That is a venting place. Because people can get up and go, I don't think we've had the type of criminal activity we would have had. If they were stuck here, like in other places, like...
They was, no?
Yeah, because they couldn't go anywhere. They would be acting out, but they can go. So we see some of them acting out abroad. But again, I see in the throne speech, they discuss more housing needed. Fine, and that's great. I agree. As a former housing minister, I know housing's been an issue. But I also see on the other side, within the same party, I see the minister of responsible for immigration saying we need another 8,000 people. So if we get 8,000 people, we're already at a struggle for affordable housing for Bermuda. How are we all? What is the plan? What is the continuity of the plan?
We talked about in the lead up to this repeat, because I remember when you were housing minister, they said, where's the plan?
Constantly. Where's the plan? The opposition doesn't even say that anymore.
Yeah, but I don't hear your backbenchers or anybody asking your premier, where is the plan?
Well, you know, another thing.
Where's the plan, Ash?
Another thing that concerns me is that we still haven't returned to a place where Parliament is held, where you can really go and observe it. You know, the Parliament's closed. So if I really feel like it, sometimes I would like to just go sit off and watch or listen, and I can't even listen to it properly because while it's online, while it's been covered and they're talking online or Zoom, you can hear somebody sometimes, you can't hear the answer. It's so, are we
no, we're not serious.
And in the interest of, what's the word they use all the time? That it's open.
And transparent.
Transparent. We need to hurry up. If the country's talking about getting back, let's get back to normal. Parliament's not done that yet.
Well, the building's in no condition. I haven't heard.
Well, then find somewhere else. Make it happen.
But they were renting across the street. What happened?
But is it easily for people, for the public, the general public, to go and sit and watch it?
Okay.
And I mean, and it's renting a building. Is the building being fixed at this time? Are we working on it?
I don't know. Is there like a massive disconnect between this so-called PLP today and what this party was founded on? Because when I look at these little yuppie boys,
well,
they make me sick.
It would have to be different.
When I looked at Jason Hayward, who took up the entire television newscast last night, whatever date it was when this airs, I'm not into it. This government came out and said we have 4 years before we no longer have enough working age people to sustain our aging community. Jason Hayward's not going to take us out of that. You're talking about immigration reform that you've promised for years. It's yet to happen under a UBP establishment. We know what you used that for.
Well,
now, we talked about this in the other show.
I'm concerned that we're going towards Look, as much as we hate that bad word, independence is something that at some point, sooner rather than later, we will have to consider. To just tell me we need another 8,000 people, we need another. All right, and at the end of the day, how are we going to deal with these people? Will they be Bermudians?
Where are they coming from?
Will they say, I've been here so long that I have rights? Like Bermudians, quite frankly, I think we're weak and we're not standing up to defend our rights to be Bermudians.
You'd rather run to England.
Well, run anywhere. We're just running and we're saying, I'm not. But at the end of the day, other people see all the opportunities that are possible here. They're coming and they're grabbing them. And before you know it, I used to jokingly say, one day you'll go up dockyard and see an expatriate in a Gombe suit and they'll tell you that's what the natives used to look like.
Yeah.
But we're not serious about a place. I've traveled all over the world. I go, people say, yeah, from Bermuda. I was in Turkey a year or so ago. People are saying, Bermuda? Oh, you don't know what I would do to get there. And we're saying, we don't know what I'll do to leave. I want to leave. Because what? Because we had the opportunities haven't been presented to the majority of us as black people, and we've had 14 years and another 5 years of black governments, and a government now that has a 30-6 majority and have done, in many ways, very little, in my view, to help the people we talk about all the time, young black males, or to just help Bermudians, period. And I don't boldly saying, because it used to be something the UBP said, and now we've got the PLP saying we just need more foreigners to sustain us. Where's the thought about trying to keep our people here? Where's the thought about somehow figuring out how to keep people, Bermudians, in the country?
Then you heard him say, we want all those young Bermudians who left, come back. For what?
Well, and that's
and
fine.
If he's a black boy, come back to do what? Get shot by his cousin?
It would be nice. It would be nice if that happened. But in the meantime, where is the plan to keep people interested and feeling like there is something for them to do in this country? You know, one of the things I notice now, it seems to me, a job of choice is politics.
Well, you could make 6 digits without a brain. Right. When you try it?
And when I was there, it certainly wasn't that type of money. And at one point when I was working for VSB,
remember this?
And in Parliament, I took a drop in pay when I became a minister and no longer got an AMP and VSB money because I couldn't report anymore as a member of Parliament. So it wasn't for the money. And I think there was a time when a lot of people, because you knew when people left the PLP, or you get kicked out of Parliament, or you leave PLP or Parliament, you have a hard time finding a job.
Or you become a minister, like a certain minister reappointed now, who was in the exam company, came back after his cabinet appointment and was told your services are no longer required.
So, but again,
so that means what? All the backbenchers now who are chomping at that 6-digit salary say nothing on behalf of the people who elected them because they want that money?
And that will be shown at the next election. If
you've been quiet all this time and they're heavy on the doorstep, I heard nothing from my MP all this time while you was doing whatever. You're going to come look for a vote for me for what?
Oh, see, that's another thing. Change. I don't know if now we need your AMP on your doorstep.
Well, in a world of social media, I don't think it's necessary.
That's bugging me. I mean, if
it will bug me too.
I mean, when some church groups come with pamphlets, we're not happy, knocking on your door. But what I'm saying is, in today, you can text me, you can email.
I never believed in that. If I want my MP,
you call him, you get him.
I'll be laying across the trunk of
you go see him.
GP card that I pay for.
See,
you understand?
We're not eager to address change. That's the way it used to be done.
Let me just say this. I took a lot of flack when I broke that story about a certain PLP MP being questioned on suspicion of money laundering. I gave him a blind.
You didn't name him.
I didn't name him. Where was that fool Blair? But they go around Court Street want to shut me down, not me. But here's the deal. Whatever. Here's the deal. That MP is my MP.
Yeah.
Okay? Let me say for the record, I know that you're not innocent. You're innocent till you're proven guilty, and you're being questioned on suspicion, and nothing's been whatever. And if it's all about the money, and you want votes from 54 Middle Road, you better come with 6 digits or stay off my doorstep. Straight up, quote me.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.